Look, all I know is this. If you open up your arms to the possibilities of something that's bigger than you and see it as bigger than you, not bigger than someone else or bigger than this, it's not about someone else's life. It's about your life. Because when you're born, you're born with a certain heartbeat, certain amount of heartbeats. I feel that. You don't know how many you've been given. So you may as well be doing the things you love to do with the people that you love. And when certain people come into your life that you don't want to be around, make sure those moments are short, because those heartbeats you'll never get back.
Today we are joined with an undeniable legend in music. You may know him for his songs Sugar Sugar, Baby I Love You, and today we're celebrating the 50 years of his track, Rock Me Gently. And this man, of course, is Andy Kim. What I truly love about this interview is around hearing a bit of his origin story, how the hits came to be. This genuinely turned into a beyond the surface chat about life, finding yourself, being self-aware of your mortality in the time you are given on earth. And I can't thank Andy enough for his time, his passion, his energy, and through his words, the fire he left within my soul and heart. And yeah, this conversation pretty much speaks for itself, so hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into it. I was born in the 80s, and growing up, like, you've just been a prevalent soundtrack all my life, whether it's turning on the radio, watching different films, being in a grocery store, they're just playing all your hits and everything. And it's just so cool to like talk to you about, like, I guess your perspective of kind of being an icon who has like all these different hits and stuff. And I know we're celebrating 50 years of Rock Me Gently, and kind of like, how do you feel of like just kind of like looking at the perspective of everything?
Well, you know what? I finally understand that we're not just um, celebrating the song itself. I think we're celebrating the fact that it was a long struggle to get it to where it was, and and I think that's what I'm feeling and hearing from everyone I've spoken to. That I still think it's like one of my favorite, if not favorite, songs and records that I've ever made. It's just there's something about it. Even when I sing it live, and the audience always gets up and sings the song with me, it just feels the energy is just phenomenal. So, look, I think like everything else in this world, I think we have to understand. I become philosophical as time goes by.
I
I
love
mean,
it.
you're born in the 80s, so maybe in the next little while you'll become philosophical about your life. But I realized something that I didn't understand, but I was living, that this is this is my one and only life with no sequels. So I was never interested in looking over my shoulder with what someone else was doing, or um, thinking about I should be doing stuff that other people are doing. I'm living my one and only life. And I keep saying it because I'm hoping more people would lock into the fact that this is their one and only life. So what are you doing about it? Um, if you're angry at someone, you're not you're not living your best life. Get angry and then come back to the fact that there's so much in your life that you can actually just kind of find a way to be at peace, because it's gone in a second.
Mhm.
So I got the courage to go to uh, New York without knowing anything about the music business. I grew up in the tenements of Montreal. And so where are you, by the way?
I'm in Toronto right now.
You're in Toronto. So I grew up in Montreal near Jean Talon Market and stuff. And my parents were immigrants from the mountains of Lebanon. No one in my family was musical. There was music being played. My brothers had a 45 turntable. And I heard songs from whatever they chose. But it was a transistor radio that changed my life. It allowed me to hear WKBW in Buffalo with Joey Reynolds and WABC in New York with Scott Muni and Bruce, cousin Brucey, and it was WABC that talked about the artists coming to town, talked about their lives, talked about they're going to be at Palisades Park, talked about all the things that I didn't even know existed.
Mhm.
But I wanted to be part of this. I wanted to find out, so how can I be part of this? Because my career probably was already predicted because of where I lived. And so my parents never understood what I did, but I kind of forced them to allow me to get on a bus and go to New York City. The one safety zone was that I had cousins in New York that I didn't even know that I'd never met, but they were on my father's side, who was much older than my mom. And so that was kind of my safety net. So anyway, so I'm lucky I'm around these great iconic artists and writers, Lieber and Stoller, Hound Dog, you know, Jailhouse Rock, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
the biggest in the world,
the
like some of these
biggest,
people. Yeah.
Um, Jeff Barry, Ellie Greenwich, Phil Spector, Be My Baby, the Do Run Runs, so many songs. Um, Carole King, Jerry Goffin, Barry Mann, Cynthia Weil. It's an incredible place to be around, and they were iconic when I showed up.
Mhm.
And I learned. No one told me that you're learning, but they accepted me in that environment. So anyway, make a long story longer.
I love it.
um, I find myself having run out of the 2 minutes and 30 seconds that they always said you're only as good as your last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That
Wow.
was a big thing in the Brill Building. If you had
Wow.
a record and it did something, you had another chance. And if your other chance was kind of so-so, maybe you had one more chance. But the whole sentence is you're only as good as your last 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Mm. Yeah.
So, my career is up, down, and it'd been a while. I moved to LA just like all the others did, and I hadn't had a record out in a little while. And one morning, I wrote this song, and I was freaking out how much I love this song. I was just freaking out, and I heard it in my head. I heard the record, I heard it all. Um, the only thing that was missing is that there was no producer that was interested or anyone that I knew there. So I decided, you know what? I'll do it myself.
Nice.
I didn't have any way to call on musician friends the way I did in New York. So I called the Musicians Union and I asked for a guitar player, drummer, uh, electric guitar player, bass player, um, and keyboards. So four guys showed up. The bass player was a little late. Um, and and what was always swirling in my head was a staple singer record.
Mm,
I wasn't gonna go and do "Baby I Love You" and "Be My Baby" and all of those were the sugar sugar. It didn't have that kind of groove. It just had a thing where I wanted it to kind of feel like a staple singers record.
hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it, and I can imagine that was just like kind of like a natural intuition, especially like you talking about like how excited you were about the idea and possibility of the song. Like you just had to make it happen and everything.
Yeah, it's look, I'm living my one and only life then. I wasn't living someone else's life.
Hmm.
I was living my life with no sequels.
Yeah.
So knowing that, okay, so whatever I see and feel, I know that when I get to the pearly gates, I'm going to be a guy. So how was it? You know, how was it? Did you like feel the hurts? Did you feel the highs? Did you feel the times you were in limbo? Were you kind to people? Did you care about people? Did you want to get arguments all the time? I'm I'm like really such a somewhat private, quiet guy, man. I
Hmm.
don't take a bow for stuff only because it's what I love.
Mm, yeah.
You know, you can't take a bow and say, look what I've done. I know a lot of artists like that, by the way. You know, hey,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't happen with me.
Yeah.
So I'm playing them the groove and the pocket and the whole thing. And I hear the bass player had come in, and I'm meeting all these musicians for the first time. And we're kind of getting a pocket, but we're not. And the bass player was playing something, and I said, "So what? Excuse me, what is that?" And he said, "I'm tuning my bass." I said, "Well, I kind of like what you're doing," and I added a couple of notes to it. Doom doom doom, doom 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 doom, doom doom doom, doom 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 doom. So the whole band got the shift of it all,
Yeah. They all
and
kind of
then
got on the
it
same
started to
wavelength.
live, huh?
Nice. They all like kind of like got on the same wavelength and
They got
just
on that.
played as
That was the
one.
pocket. That was the
Yeah.
pocket that I look. I can play chords, but I couldn't play the doon 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 on guitar. A lot of great guitar players, or good guitar players, or even a guitar player. I'm mostly a guitar player that I know a few chords. That's it.
Yeah, amazing. And it's cool to hear you kind of just talk about like even like beyond the song, just like a life philosophy. And it's something I really relate to, and it's kind of happening as I'm getting older, like almost like as like entered my 30s, I was thinking about just my time spending here and almost being doing things in a different way of like I'm not a musician, but I went for other passions, and I feel like just having that, I don't know, that outlook rewarded me greatly. Like it was almost like there's struggles in doing that, almost like you got to go against the grain here and there. And but I feel like the universe almost like tips its hat after a while and kind of makes dreams come true. And it's, I don't know, it's been like this addicting thing. So it's kind of cool to hear like your perspective and everything too. And even I kind of wanted to know like a lot about I guess having a hit back in the day. I talked to like a lot of modern artists, and I know the media landscape is so different than what it used to be. There's just so many different lanes, and I feel like people are getting exposed to almost like too much at once. But I feel like you come from a time where it was like a lot harder to have a spot where people would know you because there's fewer lanes. There's the radio, maybe television instead of like 500 things on your phone, you know? And so I just kind of want to know like when you had like that first major hit, like what was life like and how did like things change for you?
Well, my whole world changed, especially look, my first hit was a song called "How'd We Ever Get This Way." I don't know if you ever heard it.
Mhm.
It's two chords, It's all I knew how to play was two chords. But it's what you give into it. I mean, my producer, the guy that allowed me to hang there and be there, is a guy named Jeff Barry. He's in the Rock and Roll Songwriting Hall of Fame. Just an incredible. I mean, I was hanging around some pretty heavy duty people, but I knew two chords. So there was something that allowed him to allow me to be a shadow in all of it, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and maybe it's my enthusiasm and that I stayed there all day long. When people left, I would use Jeff's office as a place to kind of write, and it was writing 24/7, whether it was good or not, because it's what he had mentioned to me. He said, just write. I'll tell you the things I like and the things I don't like, you know?
Hmm.
And so he didn't teach me how to write, but he taught me by saying, not that line, this line. How about if you sing it this way? How about, and look, all I know is this. Um, if you open up your arms to the possibilities of, of something that's bigger than you, and see it as bigger than you, not bigger than someone else or bigger than this. It's not about someone else's life. It's about your life. Because when you're born, you're born with a certain heartbeat, certain amount of heartbeats. I feel that. You don't know how many you've been given. So you may as well be doing the things you love to do with the people that you love. And when certain people come into your life that you don't want to be around, make sure those moments are short, because those heartbeats you'll never get back.
Hmm.
That's why I keep saying I wish more people would understand, and maybe I would not have understood, that you're living your one and only life. Going to be over soon, and there's no sequel. Well, that scares the shit out of you. Tells
It
you,
can, it can also
so what am I
motivate you
doing?
too.
I'm sorry?
I said it can also motivate you too, as the
Absolutely.
fear
Well,
could kind of like give you like an intensity to like almost like seize the moment, you know?
absolutely. And it's about every day, you know? And so for me, when I think about my journey with Rock Me Gently, when everybody said no, and I never saw no to mean anything other than, hey man, it's up to me to design my own destiny. It's not for someone else.
Hmm.
It's up to me. And if it's up to me, this is what I'm going to do. And to be honest with you, my freeze frame is John Lennon giving me my gold record to Rock Me Gently.
Amazing.
That, look, I think there was a lot of wonderful stuff about what's going on today in medicine and in technology. There was no effing phone back there, no cell phone, no nothing. And I just stared at that moment. And so for me, um, and it was an accident. I was in the chairman's office talking about doing Top of the Pops, and he was going to come with me. The door opens, someone is unwrapping something. Andy Kim, great song. And it's fucking John Lennon. And I'm
Wow.
frozen. And the chairman takes me by the elbow and kind of ushers me out the door with my gold record.
Yeah.
And so, um, but to have that happen, it you had to have gone through hell,
Mm,
come
facts.
back and have this happen. It's the only way I can see it. You
Hmm.
put in the time, the anxiety, the work, the you're tired, doesn't matter. I got to do this. I sat down and wrote disc jockeys. Hi, my name's Andy Kim. Thank you so much for playing my record. And people will look at me and say, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I want to thank people." Well, you know what? It's never going to get there. Well, it's not true. When I toured, I saw some on bulletin boards. No one had ever done that. I even sent it to the people that were pressing my records. It's
That's
the way
amazing.
of my life.
I love that so much, and it is. I want to thank you too for like saying all these things too, because a lot of different artists and aspiring like creatives listen to these segments, and I get some messages and emails, and I feel like this is like important things that they need to hear. That in a lot of interviews I do, people haven't talked about. Like almost like going above and beyond. Like I know like so many people who make music, and sometimes they'll they'll make the art, but they're not doing like the extra steps and wondering why things aren't happening for them, where almost it seemed like in your journey, you're gonna make it happen one way or another, type of thing, and just have that tenacity to just keep pushing and also in a genuine, passionate way. I love hearing you talk about like you writing people who print the records and thanking them, it's I feel like it's very important and important for people to hear who are aspiring musicians.
Yeah, inspiration is one thing, and the fact that you can write, hey man, there's a lot of, I would say there is 90% more talented people on this planet. When I was going to take a bus to go to New York City to try and become part of something that I didn't understand, more talented, more focused, more all of that stuff. But there's also an ingredient. You can't give it to people to do it for you. You have to, I mean, I always saw um, everybody that came to one of my concerts as an individual.
Mm,
I never looked at, oh, yeah, we're selling that many tickets. It was always about the people. The fact that they came, so honored. The fact that they people were listening to my records on the radio. I mean, I was a kid when I heard that stuff coming from Buffalo and New York. I was like, oh my God, this music. And and it's really about the art. It's about the music. It's about whatever line of work you've decided to take. It's got to be you, your one and only life. What are you doing with it? You can get people to help you. I got people to help me. But you have to have the desire to reach beyond, hey, you know how great I am? Oh my God, look how great I am.
mhm.
There's always someone greater. Everybody's greater. You're just lucky and
Yeah.
blessed.
It's amazing, and it's cool to meet you today. I just like your passion and everything is so radiant, and it makes me like even I mentioned at the beginning, I always heard your songs in passing growing up, and just kind of like talking to you and hearing the layers beyond your music makes me truly realize why you're just so respected beyond even beyond the music when and beloved as just an artist, and it's absolutely so cool to like hear these words coming from you. And I usually end the episode with my artists giving like advice, paying it forward, but I feel like we've done this the whole talk. You've been dropping like some gold and everything, and yeah, I just want to just thank you for your time and everything, and just want to say if, is there anything else you'd like to say, maybe if a aspiring artist is listening to you talk right now?
Um, yeah. Look, find out who you are.
Mhm.
Not I want to be this, I want to be that. It's already taken. That spot's been taken. It's really kind of internally. When you walk into a room, introduce yourself. Hi, my name is. Be kind to people. Don't think that one hit means everything. You're just look at it as a blessing. Look, not everyone's going to see it from my perspective. I seriously believe that if you center your work, if you're a musician, this is about you and the way you play. You can be inspired by other people, but there's got to be something about you. Because if you're only playing what you're inspired by, you'll be like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Well
so, but take the opportunity to find out who you are. That changes your whole world.
Yeah, that's so important and sound advice. And Andy, once again, I want to thank you so much for your time. It was an honor speaking to you today, and hopefully I can talk to you in the future sometime, maybe the 100th anniversary or something, but
Well,
hopefully
yeah, well,
sooner.
I don't know if I'll get there, but I have a Christmas show. It's my
Yes,
20th anniversary doing a show at Massey Hall this year. And
awesome.
so, look, we'll somehow keep in touch, Eric. And, but look, here's the thing.
Hmm.
I told you about the heartbeats. You're never going to get these heartbeats back. So
Hmm.
thank you for using those heartbeats and staying with me and allowing me to talk about things that create a unique experience in all our lives.
Hmm.
And you too can have John Lennon give you your gold record.
Much love, Andy. Oh man, thank you for your time. I got a fire in these heartbeats today too, so really
Well,
appreciate your energy and everything, man.
always, always, my friend. God bless you.
Back at you. Hope you have a good day and hopefully talk to you soon down the road. Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
Much
Be
love.
brave. Be brave. Be brave.
Will do. I'm taking that with me. Bravery today. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you so much to Andy Kim for his time. It's cool to hear the history, and what was unexpected to me, in a good way, was just how passionate and deep we were going to talk about things just beyond the surface, beyond the music, just life itself, and to kind of break the fourth wall as an interviewer. Another thing I thought was super cool was I prepped all these questions and had in mind of how it was going to go. And right after the intro and hearing his words, I threw all those questions out the window because Andy was speaking on a deeper wavelength. And throughout this chat, I felt that it was my duty, instead of maybe derailing the vibe with some music industry question I had here and there, was to keep throwing logs on that fire that he had. And yeah, I can't thank him enough for his words. It was an honor to talk to him, and I am really grateful for this time. And also, speaking of people I am grateful for, we can't leave without thanking all you legends on our Patreon page supporting the show. And first up, the biggest thank you to Mike Carniello of the Testing with Mike YouTube channel. If you're into electronics, technology, how they work, and most importantly, how to fix them, check out Testing with Mike on YouTube. Another huge thanks to Amanda McKnight of Top 10 Nerd. Not only is Amanda the host of Top 10 Nerd, talking to over 1 million subscribers, she has her very own YouTube channel that you should check out. That's such a good vibe. It celebrates comic books, video games, movies, and all things nerdy. Just type in Amanda McKnight on YouTube. Another big thanks to the wonderful Jenny Potter, the legend Devin McBride, back-to-back double impact Allens, the #1 Gent Alan Kent, and bigwig Alan Briggs. Another thanks to our favorite soul singer, Saber, and last but not least, Francis Coffer, aka my mom. If you want to support the show and also get all these episodes early, raw, uncut, right when I'm done the interview, I just take the Zoom call and I post it. You can go to patreon.com/thecreativeinbalance. It's only $4 a month. Beyond getting a shout out and having my forever thanks, you can just go to bed at night and sleep soundly, knowing you're a badass motherfucker who supports raw, uncut, independent media. And nobody can take that away from you. You hear me? With that being said, we got more episodes around the corner. Actually, our next one is another certified legend in just culture. I'm not going to give it away, but if you're watching this interview on YouTube, give us a subscribe. If you're on the Spotify's, the Apple Music, any of the podcast doohickeys, give us a follow and stay tuned for more. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Ciao.